Dr. Miller here, and I'm going to talk about a post that Dr. Hyman did today. Actually, Dr. Hyman inspired me to go into functional medicine. I was already a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted to see for my patients. So I was looking for other things, and Dr. Hyman, I've read all his books, and that actually is what steered me towards the Institute for Functional Medicine and becoming an Institute for Functional Medicine certified provider, and then going on to Kalish Institute and all that stuff. So what it says is this month, stop chasing hacks and start building habits. Start with 30 grams of protein for breakfast, a 10-minute walk after dinner, one home-cooked meal a day, 8 hours of sleep, 0 ultra-processed foods. Healing isn't found in shortcuts, it's found in consistency. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. That is fabulous advice. The only thing that I will say that he doesn't go on to explain in the post that I'm explaining here is I am 54 years old. So what if I haven't been doing these things? What happens? And so let's think about your health at a level right here. And so if you have this level of health, and this signifies optimal health, or it signifies feeling good. But I have now spent 54 years, let's say, be realistic, the last 30 years, I have not been paying attention to this. And so I have been dipping into my health savings account, and I now have a deficit. I have a hole. So if you do this stuff, then what happens is you're no longer digging a deeper hole. You have stopped digging that deeper hole. But if you really want to feel good, because you're now down here, so what do you do? Well, you've stopped what's causing you digging the hole, and now you have to do more, but not a lot more, to start filling this hole back in. And to his point, it's found in consistency. How many, and I'm a little different here. I mean, he's saying 30 grams of protein for breakfast. Why do you say 30 grams of protein for breakfast? Because if you're eating protein, you're probably going to get a little fat. That's very satiating. It's not going to spike blood sugar. It's not going to cause insulin resistance. So those are good things. And when we're saying protein, we're talking about pastured, grass-fed as best or as clean as you can get it. But as we're talking about this, we've now stopped. How do we fill this hole in? How do we put dirt back in so we get back to this where we feel good? Those are the habits. And those habits are sleep, which is 8 hours a night. And if you're like me and you wake up pretty much at the same time every day, no matter what time you go to bed, then the only time you can actually increase your amount of sleep is by going to bed earlier. And so I go to bed between 8 and 9 o'clock. Generally, I try to be in bed. If I'm going to be golden, I am in bed by 8 o'clock. And that way I can get my 8 hours of sleep. I can get my deep sleep. My brain can go through the cleaning cycles. All of that stuff happens. I monitor it with an Oura ring. And so that helps start to fill this in. But it's not going to fill it all the way in. But that is probably the one biggest thing that we see for people is sleep. And if they can get their sleep down, they can generally bring a third of their health back with sleep. About 8 hours. And it takes consistent 8 hours of sleep. Do I miss? I typically am always a 7.5 hour guy. I don't know why I don't do 8 hours of sleep, but all my metrics turn out okay. The next thing is, how do we fill in another third or so? Well, when you do this, this is your exercise or movement and nutrition. And if you're eating well, then your body can actually start to repair. Now, if you have gone long times without having exercised and you have lost muscle mass, then you're going to have to hit your exercise harder, number one. And number two, you have to make sure your nutrition is on point. And this is where, when we start to get into this area here, we start to look at amino acid profiles. We start to look at basic nutrition overall. What does your eating look like? Are you eating too simple of foods? Are you eating too many starchy vegetables? Are you not eating enough protein? Those are the things we start to see, and we can kind of tell when we are running an omics. So the omics test is an organic acids test, and this allows us to see what's going on. But there's still damage that's been done. Once you start to control for stress and community, most of our patients at this point in time are feeling great. Stress and community. But there's still this gap here. What's this? And this is basically the damage that you have done over time. And how do you bring that back? How do you get back to that? They say you can actually maintain about 80% of optimal, 80 to 90% of optimal health. How, if you are down in that 50 to 60%, meaning I have a day where I feel like crap, I have a day when I feel pretty good. Or some people, just as Dr. Hyman says, they have feels like crap syndrome. And so they feel like crap all the time. How do we help bring that back up? And this is where we actually start to talk about nutrient-dense foods, more so, supplementation. Short term, you should be able to get most of your nutrition through food. But if you have a big deficit, you have to put extra into the bank, and there's only so much food you can eat in a day. So supplements. And then the other things that we do is, how does the body look? Meaning, do you have a good microbiome? How does that look? How does your secretory IgA, your Sig-A, how does that look? How do your enzymes look? Because if these things aren't in order, you can do all the supplements and dense food in the world, but you can't maintain it. And so you have to know what your microbiome looks like, what your enzymes in stomach looks like, what your digestive tract looks like. Because if you don't have those things in order and fixed, this will never fill up. You'll never get to baseline again. And you may not. I mean, what happens if you've had multiple rounds of antibiotics? What happens if you've had, what happens if you've had diabetes for more than 10 years? Like they say that if you've had diabetes for less than 10 years, you can generally get off of your meds. What we have noticed is we're really good at that 3 to 5 range. We can knock it out. We haven't ever really worked with anybody that has had diabetes for more than 10 years. And so with that being said, we only know 3 to 5. We can prove 3 to 5. We can prove here 3 to 5. Other doctors and other places have had, more experience with that. I don't want to sit there and talk about something I don't have experience with. 3 to 5, we can knock it out of the park. But it takes work, and then you have to do some of these tests. And that's why, we talk about doing the Dutch and looking at the hormones, because if you don't feel good, you're not going to sleep. And one of the things with sleep is progesterone and even estrogen. But progesterone, pregnenolone, and basically on the flip side of these, we want to control for cortisol. And it's knowing that balance. It's knowing how to deal with those things and get you to where, do you initiate sleep? Do you not initiate sleep? Do you have no sleep maintenance? There's a lot to that. And that's why you want somebody like us at Integrated Health of Indiana that has dealt with this for a lot of years now. And we can really cut through a lot of the minutia and get you to where you're sleeping, get you where you're feeling good, get you set up on exercise and those types of things. And it's about time. It's about that consistency, because if you don't have good foundational healthy habits, once you go back to your old ways, you start digging the hole again. And we don't want to dig a hole. Doesn't mean that you can never go out and have a good time or whatnot. I used to be a partier. I used to be a bartender and used to drink. I love specialty beers. I rarely drink a beer now, ever, if at all. I might have one glass of red wine. I will drink a beer if I find a beer I haven't had. And not IPA. I don't like IPAs. But if it's something I haven't had, I'll generally have a taste. And if it's something that I like, I'll drink it. But I haven't found anything that tickles that itch enough that I want to actually drink it. So when we look at what Dr. Hyman says, these are great things. And if you start to do these, especially, if you're diabetic, that's starting your day with 30 grams of protein and some good fats. I would actually add putting a tablespoon of olive oil or something like that on whatever you're eating, because it is more satiating. The 10-minute walk after dinner helps curb that glucose spike. The one home cooked meal a day means that you're getting pretty nutrient dense food unless you cook out of boxes, but this takes care of that. If you have zero ultra processed food, basically your food doesn't come with a UPC and ingredients list on it. If you're not, you're getting decent food. 8 hours of sleep is self-explanatory. And sleep is very important. That's where all the processes happen. That's where you make your hormones. That's where you start to make your neurotransmitters, and your gut has to be in line to do that. So great, great saying from Dr. Hyman. I just wanted to expand on it a little more. And we have people coming in that are doing things like this, and they're like, why am I not healthy? And we have to go through this explanation here. You've dug a hole. We now need to fill that hole in. How do we need to fill that hole in? We need to make sure we stop doing the things that caused the hole in the first place, and then we give you extra. This is why, very interestingly, if you're drinking enough water a day, rule of thumb, half your body weight in ounces per day. If you're doing that, you're getting good hydration. Your urine, you want it to be a bright yellow. Now, if you're dehydrated, your urine's going to be bright yellow because you're dehydrated and there's lots of solids. But if you're drinking enough fluids and you're getting enough supplemental nutrition in, then your urine should be bright yellow. And what that will do for you, or what that tells you, is your body is getting enough, and it's letting the extra come out. So that's when your cup overfloweth. But you can only use so much nutrition every day. It's like calcium. You can take 5,000 milligrams of calcium a day, but your body really only uses about 1,500, 2,000 tops. And so why? Why don't you just keep building and keep building a little bit at a time, and then your body comes back? And that's the whole idea about getting to this good foundational health. Thank you for your time. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're here to help you heal from the inside out. That's what Integrated Health of Indiana does. If you need our help, you should watch the closing credits, and that'll give you all the information to call us up, 812-346-1757. It'll be on the screen. You can grab it. Have a great day.